Hello everybody, and welcome to this my video manual on the Kodak. There's the Kodak Ultra F9 with point and shoot camera with a 31mm lens. So this is a 35mm point and shoot camera. That means it can take basically any 35mm film. You do want to bias that towards the fast films like 400. And all you have to do to take a picture is point it in the direction of your subject and push the shutter button. It has no light meter. It has a leaf shutter. The shutter speed is about 1/100th of a second. It does have a flash, and the flash sync speed on the camera is the single shutter speed. That's the only shutter speed that you get. It is exactly the same in design as the Ilford Sprite 2, the Agfa Photo reusable camera, and also there's a generic reusable available on AliExpress for less than half of what this costs, that it's the exact same camera as. And then it has a very slightly different design than the double film show and the Vibe 501F, but functionally it's close, if not exactly the same in terms of what's behind the front skin. And then also the Kodak i60. So, very similar camera to that as well. The target market for this camera would be the toy camera user, the fun camera enthusiast, or somebody who's just looking for something lightweight to carry around and take enjoyable little snapshots with. It's not going to give you superb image quality because it has an acrylic lens and not a glass lens, so there's going to be softness and color saturation built into the images. The camera is completely a plastic, and it appears to be functionally inside, that is, not externally in terms of what's in the front here, but inside where it matters, it appears to be exactly the same as a style of camera that I found copies of as old as the early 80s. So there's no new technology in here, and everything that's going on inside of this is pretty well proven. So it is, again, like I've said I think a couple times, it's very light. It comes with a lanyard. It's meant to be carried around, so you should definitely do that and use it. This was made by the Corex Corporation in China, and this specific body style appears to have been released sometime in 2020, and insofar as I can tell, it is still going on, the production of these. Now, as we do, let's go over all of your camera's features, and you can see what everything is, and then we'll talk about what everything does. Starting on the top, we have the film rewind knob and lever. This is the lever that pops out right here that you can use to rewind the film when you're done shooting for the day. This is your flash ready light. This will light up red when your flash can be used. Frame count window, shutter button. On the camera's front, we have your model number, the focal distance of the lens itself, viewfinder window, flash on and off button. You know it's off because there's a little off symbol right here, and on because there's a little on symbol right here. And if you have yours, it's probably very hard to see in this video, but when you switch this from off to on, you get a larger aperture to use when the flash is on. Kodak logo. Oh, and one way also to remember that the flash is on, just at a glance, is that the switch, when the flash is on, is nearer the same side of the camera as the flash itself. On the back of the camera, we have the viewfinder window that you would look through when you use this camera. Film advance gear, film door. On this side, we have your film door release, and on this side, we have your strap loop. On the camera's bottom, we have the film rewind release button that you will push down when it's time to rewind your film, and the battery chamber that you open to load a battery into. So on the battery chamber door, there's a plus and minus, plus over here, minus over here, so that you can easily see which way to load the battery. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to load a battery. It uses a single AAA. The only thing that the battery does is charge the flash. So if you don't have a battery, you can still use this camera. You just can't use the flash. So we've got the battery loaded. Let's turn the flash on. and when it's charged up, this will turn red. Usually takes a few minutes the first time a battery goes in, or a few seconds. The capacitor has to charge up for the first time. There it goes. It's lit. There, it's lit up. Okay, so now that the capacitor's charged, you can see it discharges the flash. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to, and the flash will fire if it's turned on and when you take a picture. That's all. It's that easy. So the next thing we're going to do is load film into this camera. To load the film, we open up the film back. And inside the camera, you can see here, this is the film cassette chamber. And we can push that up because we're going to load film in a second. The shutter area. This gear here is what catches the film sprockets and arms the shutter. Take up spool. And then over here on the film back, we have these ridges which help keep the film in a proper alignment with the shutter over here for proper focus from the lens. You might notice that the film area right here is curved, and that's because this allows the film, the image rather, to be more in focus because the film curves with the field curvature of the lens. So to put film in the camera, all we do is drop our 35mm roll into the cassette chamber, push the film rewind post down, pull out a leader, and there are some hooks on the bottom of the film take-up spool. We're just going to get the film leader to catch on those and advance. There we go. Just like that. Close the film back. Now, on your film count window right here, it currently says S. But if we take two photos, first one goes to a dot, second one goes to the number 1. Now we are able to take our first shot. We're in fresh film that's going to be good for a photo. Now, one of the nice things about this type of camera is that because the shutter rather, is armed by the movement of the film cannot advance further than is needed to arm the shutter, and the shutter also cannot rearm before the film advances far enough, meaning that as long as you have film, you're going to get properly spaced images. And one thing to notice is that over here on the side, your film rewind knob will move as you advance the film. I'll show you make it really easy to see that. So the reason this moves is because there's a mechanical connection between the take-up and this rewind, so that as the film moves through the camera, when it's done, you can rewind it very easily. Now, film, it's important to know, is one and done. It can record light in a controlled manner to create an image, or in an uncontrolled manner by absorbing all of the photons that reach it by opening the film back like this. So, if you open the film back while you have your film loaded like this, all of the images that are or could be taken that are on the film outside of the cassette will be erased. But I want to show you what happens inside the camera when you take a photo. So you take a photo, and then you advance the film, and the film moves over the area of the shutter. So the film that had been where the image was is now over here, and fresh film is ready to be used. So you go through your whole day, and you're taking photos, and I'm going to show you what happens at the end of your roll when you go to rewind it. So we're going to flip out this film rewind knob. Come on. Just like that. We're going to push down the film rewind button. And we're going to hold it. Now we can rewind the film back into the camera. Once we've rewound the film, at this point, now it's safe to open up the camera, and we can lift up the film rewind knob and pull out the film cassette. In real use, you would want to advance the film all the way back into the cassette. That way you don't accidentally reuse the film. So then once you've taken out your roll of film, you can either grab another one and drop it in, or if you're done for the day, just close the camera, trigger the shutter, and you're good to go. So now that we've covered all of the camera's functions, let's put all of this together and take a photo with this camera. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look through your viewfinder, and you're going to sight up the scene. If you need to use a flash, you're just going to, let me take the battery out here so I don't accidentally discharge the flash again. But if you need to use the flash, you're going to turn the flash on just like that. When you're comfortable with what you see in the viewfinder, you just take your photo, advance your film, and you've taken a picture. That's it. It's that simple. Very easy to use. Okay, so that's taking a photo. What about double exposures? Unfortunately, with this model camera, you cannot take double exposures because the motion of the film, the sprocket holes engaging with that sprocket in the back, are what arm the shutter. If the film doesn't move, the shutter can't be armed, and so double exposures aren't possible with this camera. So to that end, Corex, if you're watching this, a multiple exposure switch would be really nice for another version of this camera in the future, as would bulb mode. Putting both of those onto a camera like this would make it a whole lot more versatile. Now, also, I have some tips for you on how to make the most of your use of the Kodak F9 Ultra F9 anyway. First one is going to be use 400 ISO film, minimum, even in full sun. And a big part of the reason, so Kodak Ultramax is perfect for one of these. So would Fuji Superia be, HP5 Plus. You could get away with FOMA 400 as well, some of the others. But you want to stick around the 400 ISO range. And the reason for that is that even though this has a 1/100th of a shutter speed, the images, 400 ISO film is very tolerant of overexposure. So if you put 100 ISO film in here, for instance, it's very easy to have something that's underexposed, even in full sun. That happened to me when I used the double film show. A lot of my 100 ISO film images were underexposed in full sun. So 400 ISO film, very forgiving, and it's going to give you a higher probability of having images turn out. And because 400 ISO film will have a thicker negative, those 3 ridges that we saw on the back of the camera when we opened it will be less noticeable in your images. With slower films that will give you normal to thin negatives with this camera, those ridges will leave lines in your negatives that will be visible when you get them back as prints or digital scans. These are really light, very easy to carry. They do come with a strap. Mine came with a strap attached to it, and so you should do exactly that. Carry it around. Use it. Take it with you. It's good and lightweight and pretty compact, so it's perfect for just having with you whenever you want to use it. One tip on that, though. Don't slam it around. When I used the double film show, it hit a couple of things and the back popped open and ruined a bunch of my film. Happened two times, I think it was. So carry this around, but just don't let it go swinging and hitting into things. Just enjoy the camera. And so a couple of other things not to do with your camera. Don't let it get wet. There are a couple of springs in here and some other metal components because it's got a flash and a battery that could potentially be damaged by water. Always trigger your shutter when you're done for the day, just to preserve the strength of the springs. Don't leave your AAA battery in it if you're going to set this aside, because a leaked battery is a huge pain in any camera. Even though the only thing that the battery charges is the flash, having a battery explode in here could ruin your ability to use the flash. So always treat your Kodak Ultra F9 with care and respect, and as long as you take care of your camera will take care of you. Thank you, and I'll see you in future videos.